When I was younger, I remember viscerally having this conversation with my mom about feeling stuck between these two ideas. Being a starving artist and my loved ones suffer because of it. Or there is being rich, like making lots of money, but being unsatisfied because I'm not pursuing my art. Because I'm not doing something that I love. I'm just working a job for money. Trash left this comment, and it says, I first started thinking about the relationship between entertainer/artist and consumer after reading The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer, in which she breaks down and appropriates the supply chain of entertainment, the cutting out of the middle person in the supply chain. So a good example of this is like the music industry, right? Where like the music industry takes all of the money that you give and then like doles out pennies to the artists, right? So the idea that she's talking about is taking out that middleman and just saying, hey, anybody who wants my album, it's $5. Give me $5 and you can have my album, and you can do anything that you want with it. And the idea that like the reason that this middleman has always existed is to sort of like protect the artist, right? Protect the artist from like people pirating and all sorts of things like that. And they sort of offer them that protection and like bring them deals and things like that. And the idea is that like you're supposed to be able to make more money with them than without them. But in our generation, that dynamic is shifting, and many more artists, including people like Louis C.K., who obviously has some, questionable choices, but he is a brilliant businessman in many respects. People like Louis C.K., people like Amanda Palmer are cutting out middlemen and going to things like Patreon to cut out that middleman and instead build their own businesses that are consumer to artist directly. And one of the things that's really amazing about this is the like more personal connection that you get. I'm going to continue reading. So, in which she breaks down and appropriates the supply chain and entertainment. The cutting out of the middle person in the supply chain absolutely creates a unique bond from the perspective of the consumer, by the way, from the perspective of the creator as well, which I suppose is similar to the old-fashioned idea of a patron of the arts, which is hence why Patreon is called Patreon. I do worry that this bond brings with it a sense of paternalistic ownership or entitlement, which is an unfair burden to put on the creator. So this is talking about the idea of like when fans think that they are owed something because they have supported a content creator. Like the idea when you support a content creator is that you're supporting them because they are providing value to you, and there shouldn't be further expectations beyond that. Beyond the idea that they have provided value to you and you're tipping them for a service, just like you would tip a waiter at a restaurant, right? Time to get personal, possibly a tangent, but hear me out. As a sex worker, I had clients that were whales. They disproportionately contributed to my income, and as a result, I felt pressure to make compromises to my limits and to my content to specifically please them. It is my hope as a patron of Yours Tech that I am not putting this pressure on you. I support you for the art that you bring to the world. You owe me nothing for my contribution, just keep being you. So this is incredibly sweet. Incredibly sweet. Thank you, Trash, if you watch this at some point. Thank you so much. So I wanted to write a whole article about this comment because it brought up a whole lot of thoughts and things that I think are important for people to understand, and also like there's one particular concept in here that I think is really useful, that has a lot of value just for anyone, whether you're involved in content creation or not, whether you're a consumer of content creation or not. I think that it has a lot of value in people's lives. And it's the first thing that I'm going to talk about. So, when I was younger, I remember viscerally having this conversation with my mom about feeling stuck between these two ideas. The first idea being, I pursue what I'm passionate about. I pursue my art. And because of that, I most likely don't make a lot of money, right? Like, unless you get really lucky, most people don't make a whole lot of money off of their art. And honestly, I would probably be fine being a starving artist because I don't spend a whole lot of money. I can live off of very, very little. I don't need a whole lot. But I'm not just me, right? Like, I have people who I care about a lot in my life, namely Birdie, right? That I want them to be able to live a luxurious life, and it's not like I can't just think about me, right? When I put on this ring, when I made this commitment, I committed to like taking care of Birdie as best as I could, right? Like in front of the people that brought her into this world and gave me this amazing gift that is in my life. I have like a responsibility to like give her the best possible life that I can, right? And so because of that, then there's the other options. There's the being a starving artist and my loved ones suffer because of it. Or there is being rich, like making lots of money, but being unsatisfied because I'm not pursuing my art, because I'm not doing something that I love. I'm just working a job for money, which, by the way, just as like a quick tangent here, that is the true selling out. Throughout my career on Twitch, I've been accused of being a sellout many a time. And for those of you who don't know, maybe you're watching on YouTube and you're new. For those of you who don't know, we even have a character. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Tenacaro here, your local head of sellout, who sells out things for us. But there is this concept within society that if you talk like in the modern generation, we are sort of like demonifying. What's the word I'm looking for? Demonifying something. We are demonifying. There's some word, I can't think of it. So, somebody in chat help me. We're demonifying the big demonizing. Thank you. We're demonizing big businesses, which I think in many ways is a good thing, because big businesses do some awful, evil things and they need to be held accountable, right? But I think that there is a danger in the direction that we're going, that anything to do with money, vilify is a good word too, anything to do with money is immediately evil. And money is a powerful tool in a lot of ways, not just in sort of the like big business sense. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the talk. The true sellout is when you do something that is against your own like morals or something that you hate for money. That's truly selling out. Making money off of your content creation, making money off of something that you love, is the opposite of selling out. And that's really, really, really important for content creators. So like content creators, when you are making your content and you're like, I just feel so bad, like asking for money, I feel like a sellout. Like just remember that every day you go to a job that you hate, you go to a job that you can't stand just to make money. That is the true selling out. There is nothing wrong with you monetizing your content. There's nothing wrong with you making money off of something that you're passionate about. And as a society, we all need to get on board with that, so that artists can start making heckin' money, because they deserve it. Because Earth without art is eh. And I feel like I should type this out in chat so y'all can see it, because it's better typed. Earth without art is eh. Okay? Earth without art is eh. Okay? Very important to remember this. So, so those were the two options in my mind. The first option was you're either a starving artist or you're a sellout, because you're just doing something for money that you hate and you're unsatisfied because you're not fulfilling yourself, you're not putting out what you want to see in the world. Those were the two options in my mind. And by chance, by wonderful serendipity, I stumbled upon a beautiful middle ground. I have firmly come to believe that everything good in life rides a fine line. And I happened to stumble upon that fine line in the job that I am currently working at now. The job that I'm currently working at now, I work at a life insurance company, and I work customer service for a life insurance company. I don't like sell life insurance or anything. And I know that for most people, that sounds absolutely awful. It sounds like what would be selling out for them, right? But for me, it actually is, I'm not passionate about it per se, but I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy going to work each day, and I'm happy to go to work each day. I'm happy to spend time with the people that I spend time with there. I'm happy to do the work that I'm doing. I have an interest in finance, and so I get to learn things about the finance world that are very interesting to me. And because I have that, because I'm able to do this thing that I'm not passionate about, but that I enjoy, I feel valued there. I feel like they see my potential, that I have a lot of room to grow there. Because I have that, and I have that financial security, I can come here and do what I'm passionate about with no restraints. I can do whatever the heck I want, as long as it's within TOS, you know. I can do whatever the heck I want, and there's no limits. There's no, because what happens when you are reliant on your art for income is you immediately, inevitably, become beholden to your audience. Your audience is now responsible for your livelihood. And therefore, certain concessions, like Trash was saying, certain concessions have to be made in order to continue pleasing your audience, right? So like for those whales, for instance, you have to make certain compromises in terms of what you want to put out into the world, because you have to please your audience. And that's not the fault of the audience. It's just the nature of the dynamic. It's just the nature of how that works. That audiences are going to show up for what they're going to show up for. And as somebody who is using your art to make a full-time living, you have to put that out. Otherwise, they're not going to show up, right? And sometimes there's a beautiful intersection of you're putting out what you want to see in the world, and it also happens to be what your audience wants to see. But when you are completely reliant, there are always going to be compromises that have to be made. And what I love about, and Devin Nash is the one who actually introduced me to this concept. He said I would never want to be a content creator full time, because I always want to have the freedom to create whatever I want to create. I never want to be beholden to my audience. And by extension, like the flip side of that is I never want my audience to feel responsible for making sure that I have enough to live. You know what I mean? So that's sort of like the biggest value for anybody who is watching this, is whether you're in content creation or not. I imagine the fact that I had that struggle, the struggle between either being a starving artist or being rich but unsatisfied, not pursuing my art. I imagine that others have definitely had that, because I had it. And I know that my brother is currently struggling with that right now. My brother recently visited with his wife, and they were talking about, they were having a discussion about that, where Daniel, my brother, his name is Daniel, my brother was like, you know, I sort of want to get something more stable so that I can, you know, have a more regular income stream. And his wife was like, why do you want to do that? Like, why do you want to compromise on what you're passionate about? Like, we can make it work. And I talked to them about this concept, about finding that middle ground. And I think that has incredible value to anybody who has ever been there, has ever struggled with that dichotomy, that there is a fine line where you can find something that you are not so passionate about that it hurts you to make compromises, but that you enjoy doing every day. And then you can do your art completely unencumbered. Okay. So those are the I sort of covered the first two things in one there. Okay, the compromising between the two, and then being beholden to your audience. The third point in this article, again, you can type in !whales and check out this article. !whales. The third point that is in this article is a term that I've coined crowd surfing. And the idea of crowd surfing is that in content creation, inevitably, there are going to be people that come and go from your community. This comes back to the idea of parasocial relationships. And one of the things that I've really found to be important about parasocial relationships is that they work both ways. And I don't know what it's called when it works the other way, but the idea is that just as fans can create relationships with their content creator that may not be the reality of what's happening, the same can be true between the content creator and the fan. The content creator can get overly attached to individuals, and then when those individuals leave, it just absolutely crushes the content creator. And I myself have fallen victim to this many a time, and it has caused an incredible amount of burnout for me, where I will get very attached to individuals, and then those individuals will leave, and I will fall flat on my face, and my content and my community and just everything suffers because of it. And so I have developed this concept called crowd surfing, and it is inspired by an idea that was introduced to me from a streamer named Ajmass, okay? And you can find him on YouTube, you can find him on Twitch, you can find him on any social network. Just search up Ajmass, ADJMASS, and you'll find him. Ajmass said this thing to me one time. I asked him, I was like, hey, it looks like you're seeing a lot of sort of like growth in your community. Do you have any ideas of like what is causing that growth? What you're doing differently? And he said to me, and I'll never forget it, he said, I am creating content for the people that are there, not for the people that I wish were there. And that was so impactful for me. And it inspired me to create this concept called crowd surfing. And the idea is that you sort of lean on your community as a whole, as a content creator, rather than leaning on individuals. So you just, and the reason it's called crowd surfing is because the visual in my mind is that you just sort of lean back and you let whoever is there catch you. Instead of looking for a single individual to like lean on and put all of your like trust and faith in, right? And so what happens when you do that, when you just sort of like lean back and let your community support you, is as individuals shift in and out, you don't notice it as much because you are being supported by your community as a whole. And it feels amazing. It feels amazing. And you can still have very intimate, I mean, like what I'm talking about now is very intimate and very personal. You don't have to be some sort of like cold, like bound, like super like you know, guarded person in order to make this concept work. You can be very open and accepting of people and relationships. It's just that instead of leaning on individuals, you lean on your community as a whole. And it has completely changed the way that I create content and completely changed my sort of relationship to burnout. The last thing that I want to talk about is that sometimes you will run into a situation where there is an individual in your community that has some like additional special value that they can offer, and you would like to I don't know the right word. You would like to capitalize on that. You would like, that's not the right word. All these have negative connotations. You would like to utilize that value. You would like to bring that value into your community. And but within nurture, you would like to nurture that value. Yeah, it's a good word. But within the concept of crowd surfing, it's dangerous to do that. And the way that I have found to circumvent this, again, was inspired by Devin Nash. And that way is to pay the people that you ask to provide value for you. So if you have somebody in your community, whatever value it is, whether it is that they are a great video editor, they're a great artist, or they are an incredible mod and just do an incredible amount for community, pay them. And this does a whole bunch of things for you. I can't even describe how amazing it. Like I'm a greedy sellout Jew. Okay, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Tentacarl here. I'm a greedy sellout Jew. Okay, and so I was like, oh, I don't want to pay people. And then I started doing it, and it like transformed. It transformed everything. It was amazing. So it does quite a few things. The first thing is it creates accountability. All of a sudden, you no longer have to feel guilty saying like, hey, where is this? Like, what this value that I paid you for? Where I need you to deliver on it. You don't have to feel guilty doing that because you paid them for it, right? Like just like if you went to like a massage parlor and you handed somebody money, you don't feel guilty saying give me a massage because you gave them money for that service, right? So it creates accountability where you have the right to sort of like demand something of someone, given that they have accepted that responsibility, right? Like if you go to them and you say, hey, I'd like to pay you for this service, and they say, no, I'm really not interested, obviously you wouldn't like give them the money and then demand it. But if they've accepted that contract of like, I give you money, you give me service, then it allows you to have that accountability. The next thing is that it makes individuals feel valued. So in the BDSM community, which I'm very passionate about, if you're new here, we have a mission statement. You can type in ! mission statement. It says, seeking to provide content in a lewdly wholesome space that, I lost my place, that helps to improve physical and mental confidence while normalizing sexuality and fighting against the celebration of violence. That's what we try to do here. And so I talk about like sex a lot. So in the BDSM community, there is a concept called findom, or financial domination. And the idea is that an individual consensually manipulates another individual into giving them money. And one of the really beautiful things about this kink is that it is a very literal exchange of power. Because in our society, money is a physical representation of power, right? Like, if you have a lot of money, you have a lot of power in our society, right? And so when you hand money over to somebody, you are giving them power. And that is hugely, that is hugely empowering, right? That's like the literal definition of empowering. So when you pay somebody to do something, it makes them feel valued, it makes them feel special, it makes them feel powerful. And that's, as somebody who is trying to improve mental and physical confidence, one, that's just something that I would like to do anyway. I would just like to help people feel more empowered, because so few people feel empowered in our society, and so many more people should feel empowered in our society, because so many people have so much to offer. The truth is that everybody has something to offer. Everybody has something incredible to offer to this world. It's just that there's so much cloud and pollution and noise that it gets blocked out, and not everyone is able to like fulfill that potential. But the truth is that everybody has something to offer. And so when you pay somebody and say, hey, I think that you're worth money, whatever the amount is, I think that you're worth money for this service that you can provide, it fills them with pride and power and encourages them to do more of that thing. And I think that's beautiful and something that's worth putting out into the world. The other thing is that as a content creator, making individuals feel like they have a part in your content creation is an incredibly powerful concept. And I've written about this in other articles. I've linked that article in the whales article that I have in chat. Alerts is a really good example of this, where if you have alerts in your stream, one of the reasons that that's so powerful is because it makes them feel like, it makes fans feel like they have some sort of ownership in your stream, right? Their name shows up on stream. They get to sort of like change the content in that moment. In my stream, when people subscribe, I twerk for the sub. So like whatever is going on, everything stops and I get up and twerk. Like that's a lot of power that I'm giving to an individual if they want to support me in that way. And so as a content creator, it's a very powerful tool for you, as well as being something that is very like good for and advantageous for the content consumer. And the final thing about paying individuals is that because they feel empowered and because you have hopefully sort of like lifted them up in some way, where all of a sudden they feel more valued than they did before. It creates, a lot of the time, it will create a sense of loyalty. It will create a sense of like, hey, this person really values me. I want to be around people who value me more, and so they will be around your community more. And want to be more involved and sort of reinvest in something that is investing in them, right? And so that's also a really powerful tool that as you continue to invest in individuals, those individuals are going to invest back in you. And I think that's really powerful and really a good thing to do for everyone involved. It's a symbiotic relationship. So, moral of the story is, if you want to get something from an individual in your community, if you want to nurture a talent from an individual in your community, pay them for it, because it's really valuable. That's my talk.